Thank you, Pooja, for introducing me, and thank you all the participants here. We have accomplished uh, past chairmen of NASSCOM, Ashank Desai from Mastek and Harish Mehta from Onward Technologies. Thank you very much, sir. Kunal is one of the mentee companies from ATC, right? And then we have Swapna and Sudheer from Skill Recruit. These were the mentee companies who were participating in the Disha program for the last 3 months, and I'm hoping they must have got benefited from here, from the Disha program. So first question to the mentee companies here. So what was your feeling? How were you nervous? Were you anxious when coming in for the first time? I'm assuming this is your first mentorship program, and you had senior folks out there on the other side as panel members. What did you feel like? How was it? Swapna, if you want to go first.
It was wonderful, Avinash. Actually, we didn't expect that it would be like this, because we never had a mentorship program before, obviously. So we had no idea how it goes and what we would be benefiting of it. But it was really good when in the first session we had, when Raman sir came, we were really in a shock, Raman sir was our mentor. So it was really good, he's taken through all the sessions, in such a way. He explained all his experiences and everything. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sessions it was.
Sudheer, you want to add anything?
Yeah, definitely. Like Swapna said, we were actually not aware who our mentors were going to be frank. But when we saw Raman sir, we were gobsmacked. We were very happy to see him, very happy to see Ashfaq sir. And then session second and third, we had Pratap sir also join us. So we asked them a few questions. We thought those are the hardest questions that we could ask, but they have answered them so easily. We were enlightened and relieved as well. So that's those are the two words I can mention for now.
Sure. What is your experience, Kunal?
Right. So it was my first time as well, Avinash, and I think more than the nervousness, even if there was something, it was not because there were reputed names from NASSCOM which we keep hearing off and on, but it was more about the unknown, more about how it will pan out. 3 sessions down the line, 2 sessions. Will it be helpful, and to what extent? And more importantly, whether there will be any practical takeaways from it, because it's one thing to do a mentorship, and it's another thing to have implementable advice, which I think in each of the sessions we were bang on target, and I really give due credit to the NASSCOM team and also to all 3 of our mentors. There was not a single word spoken by them which could not be implemented. So I think they really understood the challenges perfect.
Sure. So let's move to mentors. Ashank sir and Harish bhai, you've been mentoring companies all this while. You've been very, very helpful. What was your experience on the Disha program? Ashank bhai, if you want to take it first. You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it has been very interesting experience. Because the format was something different. I had actually was asking questions about the format, but it was something that turned out to be a good idea. That is one. The second one was the mentoring here was to a community which has not startup in the sense of just starting. They had an experience. They were working on few things. They had achieved success and achieved less success in few areas and so on. So it was something which was very, very concrete situation, rather than saying, I want to do something in future, etc. So it was more mature companies in the sense of the time that they have been in business. So that was second. Third, I found very interesting is.
Sir, requesting you to be a little louder, please.
Yeah. So I said second aspect, as I said, was they were more mature companies and not really startup sense. So you could relate with them in the sense they had a problem which are identifiable that they have gone through. So their articulation was more very specific, and the solutions also could be very specific. So that was second point. Otherwise, in startup situation, sometimes you come with some idea or some half-baked thing, not something which is just starting and so on. So that is not the case here. The third one was, I think the group that it looked very enthusiastic to me. So much so that they would come back and say, I have done this. You told me last month this. So that was a good idea. Otherwise, you say something and it kind of falls apart. So these are three aspects that I found interesting. That is 4 people mentoring and 3 sessions. That format and the kind of mentees we had in terms of their experience and also their interest.
Sure. Harish bhai, your experience, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, sir.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I have been mentoring for the last 15, 20 years. And the Disha training, mentoring was a very different and unique experience. I like the concept of 3 months schedule in advance. And at each month, you learn a lot about the company. And you can give much better guidance than, let's say, before or just in one session, you can't be really very effective. So in the process, I think it was a very effective mentoring program. And I must congratulate Avinash, you, Samir, Chetan, Jagriti for really doing a great job in terms of putting it in a very, very, I would say, organized manner.
Thank you, sir.
The second point I would like to make is carrying on with what just Ashank said. In my concept of startup, a little different. Sorry, the SME was very different. I thought it will be smaller companies and with 10, 15 engineers and we have a local services. And here I found every one of them very ambitious. They all, and like one entrepreneur in tier 2 city, only exporting to USA and no other customer. So to me, that was fantastic. I think from that perspective that the risk-taking ability of the entrepreneur is really, really has, I would say, quantum change than what I've seen before. And the third, I would say, is that, of course, what I was a bit surprised is the only area of challenge, which I expected, let's say, would be the funding mainly, but instead it turned out to be sales.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we had 72 companies applied for.
Avinash, we can't hear you.
We had 72 companies applied for Disha program. You can't hear me?
No, we can.
Oh, okay. And 36 of them were selected for one-on-one Disha mentoring sessions based on their revenue, which is 5 crores to 50 crores turnover. And you're right, Harish bhai, most of them are ambitious. They want, the common challenge that we saw across these companies was business development. And second is more on the talent acquisition. So that brings me to Skill Recruit, which is the focused point for all the companies looking for the right talent. So Swapna and Sudheer, this is the high time for talent companies, and you are in the middle of it. So what were your challenges? And once you went into the first session, what was that one strong feedback that you took yourself with from the mentors?
If I may.
A little louder, please.
All right. So that was one of the first questions we asked our mentors, right? A lot of people are taking job offers, they're not joining. A lot of people are saying there is another opportunity my current company is retaining, I'm not joining this new client. So we work in the recruitment industry. Ashank sir might not know, we are one of their top suppliers in the UK.
Oh,
Small word.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ashank sir.
good to know.
Your business, we're very happy.
So,
Mastek,
Sudhir, a little louder. It is me, might be, but you have to speak a little louder, please.
right? Okay, I'll come
Yeah,
closer.
this is better.
This is better. All right. So I was saying the pointers that you have just mentioned, Avinash, those were the pointers we have actually asked our mentors, that there are lots of dropouts, lots of people who are not taking up offers or saying their current company is retaining them. We have those challenges. Now, we have got a few suggestions from Raman sir and Pratap sir. They were very, very useful. What they said is you have to engage the talent. You have to, what we were doing all these days, we were proud of, is that we were engaging the talent who is actually onboarded. Now they said, do the other way around. Engage the talent who is not onboarded. Why haven't they joined? Develop a program, develop an engagement program, make your leaders speak to the people who have not joined, and then understand the reasons why now they have not joined. And speak to the companies where they have joined, try and understand what difference are they doing, what is the difference in their engagement model that we can implement. So those were few pointers we could take away. One of the main things that the mentor said is we were worried. There were a few points for us to worry, mainly the conversion ratios, and one of our major clients has implemented an MSP and we had to go through them. One of our directors is spending only half time with us, half time in his own passion, and we don't have an MBA degree, all these. Now the mentor said, how is it affecting you? Is your business growing? Yes. Are your people happy? Yes. Then don't worry about those. Those are all silly points. So points that we were thinking that very big, we were spending sleepless nights over those, are not important points anymore after we have spoken to the mentors. So it's the way they have envisioned our business and how they've asked us to implement a few things that made a difference.
I see you being, coming out more confident than ever, and getting this wonderful idea of flipping the entire challenge into, rather than worrying about existing people, why not worry about the people who are not joining you? So, interesting idea. Kunal, I saw that you have this business challenge of sales, and worrying about the product services mix. You also think of raising funds. So so many challenges. What's the response that you got, and what was that striking message that you got?
I think, Avinash, the first session was we spent about half the session trying to, where the mentors really tried to understand us and our company structure. Because this is a family-run business at Alpha Plus, right? So I'm the second generation here. And for us, whenever somebody comes on board to mentor, they need to really understand the dynamics. I think that was a very good amount of time that we spent, although I felt that probably I was losing out on very precious time with them. But I understood by the time the third session happened, we understood the context of how important that 40 minutes in the first session were, So they spoke about a lot about the governance structure, the board. I've been very ambitious about bringing advisors, mentors on the board, making an advisory council. So they cautioned, they advised on those areas. I think it was also about trying to tame somebody who's a little too ambitious, with a lot of wisdom that comes after years of working. I think that wisdom was coming our way, and it made a big difference, because I think, like, say, for example, I wanted originally an advisory panel of about 4 to 5 very senior, experienced veterans. However, they in fact recommended that, are you going to be able to spend that time, trying to explain your business model to each of your mentors? See, you've been spending an hour today to explain it to us. You're going to have to do that every time with them. And will you have the time to even implement if 4 or 5 of them are giving you advice? So what they really made us understand is that it's better to have 1 or 2 mentors, depending on the journey you are in, and focus on that mentoring for a good 5 to 6 months, bring in those ideas, implement, make constructive progress, then switch over to your second set, third set of mentors. So that was a huge, huge takeaway. There's another thing, Avinash, what also happened is that we are looking at expansion abroad. So as you said, very ambitious as far as business development is concerned, because we're doing fairly reasonably well here in India. And when we spoke about our ideas of how to expand, I think it was a reality check for us. Again, ambition, meeting wisdom and experience, and that's what happened. They raised a lot of questions. Do you have the capital to be able to, enter a new market? Because you're a bootstrapped company, how are you going to manage your funds? Why don't you take the route of having your local representatives, who can actually do your sales for you, rather than you having to really make an on-ground presence to set up an office? Why do you want to set up an office at this stage so early? So, very, very wonderful takeaways there.
So were these tough questions for you?
A lot, because, when you're trying to, when you're ambitious and then somebody kind of brings a little bit of a speed breaker to you, you realize in hindsight that probably this is the way it should always have been. But I think it really helps when you have these veterans who have been dealing with matured markets like US and the European market and, say, Singapore. And I think that experience really helps. So even if there were tough questions, I didn't feel that a minute was wasted there.
I would say it was not a speed breaker. It was Disha. It was the right direction.
It was Disha, exactly. Very true, very true. Thank you.
Right. So Harish bhai, you've been an entrepreneur yourself, and so is with Ashank bhai. When you see these SME companies coming to you and asking for help, what is the difference you find in back in those days? What kind of challenges you faced versus the kind of challenges these companies are facing? Do you find some difference there? Harish bhai. You'll have to unmute, sir.
I don't think, frankly, we should compare, because when I started my business, word software was not defined.
I know.
Now you can imagine you work with the income tax department, they look at software differently, look at RBI for going abroad, they look at software differently. In those days, we had excise tax, they look at differently than software. So we had a big challenge of defining what software is. Frankly, in those days, software was like something to be given free along with the hardware.
I know.
Like a user manual. We just give it free. Copyright means right to copy.
Yeah.
So there was one big challenge.
I remember we used to get 50 rupee CD with Microsoft Office, 50 rupee CD, that's it.
Exactly. So there was one big challenge to us, which is very difficult with today's entrepreneur thing. Another big challenge in my time was there was no foreign exchange coverage. There's no hedging allowed.
Right.
So when we imported the first, what we call PDP-11 computer for commercial work, we had borrowed money in German franc, Swiss franc, German marks, and Japanese yen.
Right.
It just turned out that over the next following 7 years, it was borrowed through ICICI. All the three currencies that appreciated. So we ended up paying double the money of what we had borrowed, plus the interest on it.
Oh my goodness.
You can imagine having your business model goes completely out of whack. But similarly, I think you as today's entrepreneurs have against different type, but similar uncertain challenges. You don't know from where your competitor is going to come, from which country, what will come, replace, automate, the newer technologies coming in, and so on and so forth. How do you quickly build those capabilities? So you have a different kind of challenge. I don't think that ours was better or worse. I think it's just a different model that existed at that point in time and at this point in time. Okay.
Sure. Ashank sir, your comments on how do you find these SMEs different than your times? You'll have to unmute, sir.
To what Harish is saying in terms of situation, my mother was always suspicious what business her son has gone into. Because she said, you can't show me your product. You give me very evasive answers. And night time only you talk, because we were talking to our US people. So she said, you must be in some shady business. It can be conducted only night time and whose products can't be shown. So, but on a serious note, I agree with Harish. Those were different time in terms of constraints. Yes. We have to first sell India before selling our company. When we are doing exports, he says, India, you must be crazy. They didn't say it in these words, but they had disbelief that we could build software in 80s and 90s. So it was very tough in terms of selling the concept itself. So that situation was different. But having said that, the nature of problems are no different, let me tell you. They are same problem. My business is not going very fast. How do I get customers? Those will never change, I think, for business. It is only that situation has changed, but the nature of problems are more or less similar in the sense, how do I get talent? Talent problem has been there time immemorial. Getting customer is going to be a problem always in any business that you start. So those one can very much relate to because one has gone through that. Other thing is, you see, the situation today is market is very big. So to that extent, at one level, you could define a problem in very, very focused way. We had to cover large market with lot of services. Now you can be, very focused and then go ahead. So that is another situation. At the same time, now there are more competitors. At our time, obviously, we had no competitors. Competitor was concept selling. So in that sense, the situation is different, but the nature of the base problems has not changed.
True. I think in the 22 years of Infobeans, we have just had two problems. There is always a gap between demand and supply. You have to continuously balance it, right? So that's the game of an IT services business. But let me ask you, Swapna, were you able to apply those ideas and strategies between the first session and the third session? Were you able to implement some of those things and go back to your mentors and say, this works and this does not work? Were there some experience like that?
Oh, yes, we implemented many
Please
things.
louder, a little louder, please.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we implemented many things actually, and it was really helpful. And they understood our business and our problems are also very well. And whatever they suggested, basically, before COVID, we were very much in touch with our employees. We always used to go for lunch and everything. So we were in very close, knit, like family like kind of thing. But after COVID, obviously, everybody is doing work from home. We are not in that much touch with them. So when we told them, they said, it is not like that. Obviously, being a top level management, you can't be in touch with everyone, in all the employees. But obviously, with you be in touch with the next level, so they should let you know what other people having any issues or something like that. Then you can talk to them. So that same thing we understood and we implemented. So one girl was taking frequent leaves, but she's a very efficient girl. So I asked manager what happened to her. She said recently her mother, diagnosed with cancer and she's in her final stages. So, and I called her up and I spoke to her about 15-20 minutes. So she was told all the situation. She was very happy, Swapna called me and she was inquiring all these things. So, those things, and, we obviously with the current situation, we have to retain our employees as well, all.
True.
So we asked, they said, you should be in continuous in touch with them. You have to be make a bond apart from the salary. You should make a bond with them, not only with them, with their families as well. So we started, for their anniversaries and everything, we started sending some cakes and flowers. So they're all feeling very happy. They are very well connected, even their husbands and wives as well. They were all very happy. So that was a few things are really good, and we definitely implemented, and it yielded some results as well.
Excellent. Great to know that you're now exploring the human side of the business. So wonderful side, wonderful inputs. Kunal, what is your learning between the first and third sessions? Were you able to apply some of those and see some output for yourself?
So, Avinash, actually being a product company, for us to apply any change of direction takes time, because it's not something that we can implement overnight. So I think what really helped was that we kickstarted a product review, because we have a huge bunch of products, and end of the day, not all products do equally well, right? So, and then you have that emotional connect, because they're all your children. You don't want to let go of them even if something is not doing well. And you hold on to your customers, you want your customers to be happy, and things like that. So I think when that kind of practical experiences, or you're shown the mirror on that, that helped us to kickstart a product review, where we have also started reaching out to customers to understand from them which product is really meeting up their expectations, which is not. And I think that exercise takes a good 3 months, before you can actually come to any conclusion. So what really helped between the first and the third session was this piece, that to actually get threadbare, get into the operational side of the product, understand the input versus the output revenue that you're getting out of the product, understand what your customers need really, because when you have so many, you don't necessarily end up giving equal focus to each of the products. So I think that is what we are really in the process of implementing. And alongside our international market expansion is something that we have decided to stagger along, rather than rushing into it, taking a very hasty decision, and then you commit yourself wholeheartedly to it when you are ready. So I think those are the key takeaways, and which is what we have implemented over the last 3 months.
Sure. I'll come to you for more discussions on fundraise and other things. But before that, let me speak with our mentors here. So Ashank sir, this is probably more of a personal question for you. You've been running a large organization all this while. What excites you? What motivates you to talk to smaller companies and tell them the same things all over again and again? What excites you?
So what excites us, and Harish also, I'm sure, is NASSCOM is kind of, the baby that we hold for so many years now. So whatever NASSCOM does at one level, we need to make it happen. Okay, so that is one. At this particular section, actually. Second one is, you see, there is this feeling that one gets very strongly, because we do a lot of mentoring outside. I'm involved with IIT Bombay.
Right.
150 companies. We have grown last 15 years, and many other things. You do feel that mentoring would help them genuinely to do better, and I'm firmly convinced. In fact, in SIGN in IIT Bombay now, when somebody comes, we almost make it mandatory for the company to have a mentor. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are seeing that. Please do not underestimate value of mentor. You may need a different mentor, different situation, all that is fine. But define something that you really badly need and take advice. Because when I was starting my company, I realized, looking backwards, the advices that I got were useful. And advices I did not get, if I had, I would have benefited. So there is already a feeling and experience that mentoring helps, all this. And the third reason, of course, it is good to meet again young people. I think we have been running our company and all that is fine. But the problems that they ask, although age is different, as I said, the nature of problem is similar. So you genuinely feel you could help this person or this company. So that is a fulfillment you get of doing it, that you feel, yeah, you have done something, maybe it is useful to them. So that fulfillment also comes when relating with younger people. That is your personal satisfaction part. So all these things.
Definitely, I do see that, there's a great sense of fulfillment. Let me ask you this one more. Do you also learn from these people?
Yeah, clearly I learned. I tell you. See, the kind of people that we had, they were telling us the kind of problems that they are facing, particularly in the product development side, which were quite interesting. And having gone through those that I have gone through, building Majesco as a product company and so on, was a kind of insight that maybe we should have done some of these things that these guys are doing. So in a way, yes, they have been trying something different and a different way, which maybe we could have tried, you know. So they are young, they are seeing a different people, different customers. That, yeah, there is always a different perspective on what you have done in the past. I agree.
Sure. So I know, Shank sir, you have to leave. So what I'll do is I'll ask you one more question, and then you'll be free to leave the session. But before that, let me also share my experience of Disha. So thanks to you gentlemen for setting up a wonderful body like NASSCOM. We got mentored by NASSCOM in a similar program for 6 months at a stretch. And me and my co-founder used to fly from Indore to Delhi every first Saturday of the month for 6 months at a stretch. And we used to get mentored by very senior accomplished folks like Sanjeev Agrawal of Ilion, and then Alok Mittal, and one more. So these gentlemen used to obviously show us the mirror. I mean, that's all the time, because co-founders, when they work as a team, it's very difficult for them to ask difficult questions. And these were the people who were showing the mirror to us, telling that you are running a lifestyle company from Indore and there's little success and you will be, pretty set into your comfort zone, because Indore is such a small place, you don't really get any peer pressure per se. And by then we actually had an office in Pune. So they were actually asking us tough questions as to why are you in Indore? Why are you not in Pune? And, it was purely our comfort zone. We were not out of our comfort zone. We were not aggressive. And they showed us that mirror and kind of kicked our butt to really, look at the entire business very, very differently. And one funny thing that we used to do was NASSCOM used to publish this annual growth, industry growth percentages. And we used to say, if the industry is growing at 10, 15%, we are growing at 30%, we are already doing much better. And these, panel members, they actually shook us, said, wake up, guys, you should double yourself, not just 30%. It's not enough. You are such a small company. You can't compare yourself to Infosys or NASSCOM as a industry numbers. And, that was kind of a rude shock to us. And I remember the first day, first session, we came out of the session and both of the founders were shaking. We were like, what? I mean, we've been running business for 9 years and we did nothing. So that was a very strong feeling that came, and probably it was an inflection point in our own journey to really look at things very, very differently. So I'm extremely grateful and thankful to NASSCOM for running that wonderful program. And that is the reason why we have reinitiated this, thanks to COVID, that now we have been able to do it virtually. And because of that, I have so many wonderful people coming up available to you, for free. So, thanks again. So one last question for you, Ashank sir, before you part.
So there is a good news. My meeting just got rescheduled. So
wonderful. Great.
Good things happened. I just got a mail. I was reading it. So
Excellent. So I'll hold you then. I'll not ask you questions. So Harish, for you, again, I'm sure a lot of motivations are same as Ashank and what I would have. But anything we want to add on what excites you to mentor these people?
Asking me, sorry,
yes,
Avinash?
Yes, to you, Harish.
Yeah. Seeing people like you taking birth as an entrepreneur and succeed.
Thank you.
See, when we started NASSCOM, one of the guidelines which we believe, and we still believe very strongly, is by sharing the pie gets bigger. The
Definitely.
pie gets bigger, existing players can grow, as well as the new ones can take birth. So that's how you democratize wealth. That's how you democratize entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
And we have seen over the last, since we started, that we have been passing on knowledge. And again, partly, I would say it's a theory of evolution. That if you watch nature, how the new species take birth, is by learning from the prior and the prior. So
Definitely.
passing on knowledge from our generation to the next generation, it's a given in some sense. Now it is not really you're sharing some secret and cutting your own legs by, there's a fear. So if you again believe in what I call a theory of abundance, then you don't have such fears. This is not a zero-sum world. There are huge opportunities for everybody. So and I have seen in my personal case before even that mentoring or sponsoring or someone giving you the right advice at the right time can just, you are ahead by a couple of years straight away. So there's a huge value from that perspective in mentoring. And in my case, in this particular case, why I'm interested in is, I strongly again believe in what I call multi-Guru Chela relationship. We all grew up with Guru Chela philosophy in general in our life, with our all the history. But the time has changed now. It has become, when you have multiple technologies coming in, there's no way somebody can claim expertise on all of that. So the time has come to work in a collaborative manner. And you believe in this I strongly believe in Guru Chela relationship. So I learn a lot from the young entrepreneurs when I talk to them. Simple things like, as I told you before, that somebody in tier 2 city exporting in USA, that just itself is a major eye-opener to us. So when we do this, let's say, game strategy for NASSCOM, it helps that those kind of inputs dramatically.
Definitely. And I think that is where the NASSCOM SME Council is playing a very important role in bringing up the SMEs to the fore, where the leaders of the industry actually can see and witness as to these are the people who are now shaping the future for India. And even the entire startup phenomena that has happened in India is remarkable.
Yeah.
So excellent. I think we are certainly learning a lot in the process. Let me ask Sudheer and Swapna, how do you intend to progress from here? What are the takeaways that you have? Do you have a 3-month and 6-month, a 12-month kind of a program? And are you going to go back to your mentors to take their feedback, or share the inputs with them, or the progress check? What are your plans?
Definitely. Within these 3 months, as we've told you earlier, we have learned a few things. We have implemented a lot of that. And going forward as well, we have plans to implement many of those in the coming quarter, coming year, and many more years to come. So being in touch with the mentors is something that we would definitely like to do. Whether they'll have enough time or not to spend with us is another matter. But we have actually implemented a few things. For example, they said increase the share wallet to your employees. So that's the only statement they said. Then we have inquired how best to do that. How can we share our profits? Is it just salary, incentives, bonuses? We thought, okay, apart from that, let's make them shareholders in the company. Let's give them ESOPs, like many big IT companies are giving. We are not an IT company. We are a recruitment company. But even then, we have learned that there is a possibility that we can do that to our employees. So we have already initiated from 1st of April, we are going to issue ESOPs to our employees. So there are good long-standing employees we have. We'd like to keep them. We like to make them part of the company. And then they said, divide your employees into A, B, C category. We never had that thought. We thought all the employees are equal. That was again a turnaround for us, saying, okay, all the employees are not equal. Not equal, no. Some people contribute more. Some people are more important to the organization. Take care of them first. And then B category, and then C category. C category are people who come and go. Even if they're not there, you don't worry much. then okay, we said, okay, they'll not know what category they are in, but internally we have understood this is something that we have to do in this appraisal that is coming up next month. So lots of takeaways. Any small question we put to them, they come up with several suggestions that we are already implementing. Right. Yeah, definitely. We would like to keep in touch with them. NASSCOM has done a great job by creating this program. Most of the SMEs that are part of this would definitely get benefited. We wish this could continue forever. Almost all the SMEs that we have who are out there can be benefited from this, definitely.
Sure. You talked about meritocracy. You talked about profit sharing or revenue sharing,
yep.
Or maybe ESOPs. So definitely these are obviously very strong strategies and very powerful ones. You also talked about getting one problem and multiple solutions.
Yep.
How do you handle that? Were the mentors fighting among themselves?
Not really. They were complementing each other, to be frank. And, they were learning from
each other. Was it confusing for you to have too many solutions for one problem?
It was really good, in the second or third session, Pratap sir was there and Raman sir was there, and Pratap sir was also telling, oh, Raman sir, this is a good one, I am also learning all these things, it was really good. It's not that, they're complimenting each other, it was really good. It's not like, confusing, basically. It was not at all confusing. It was, taking what we need, that we are taking it, but yeah, it was really good.
All right. Excellent. Kunal.
Yes, sir.
So do you have those short-term, mid-term, long-term strategies in place? What was your, and I think you had fundraise in your mind that you wanted to get listed on the stock exchange. So what is the take for you there?
I think Harish ji mentioned something, he used a word which was very beautifully put, which is collaboration. I think the Disha program taught us, I think at least me, if not the other promoter members who joined, the value of collaboration. I think so that really hammered the point in. And then suddenly, around the time the second Disha session happened, we had this lovely Slack forum which was created by NASSCOM. It was almost as if, everything was falling in a particular direction because you are then being led, that you have been mentored, now keep in touch. And don't just keep in touch with your mentors, but you also keep in touch with other like-minded, mentees like you who are either current mentees or future mentees. So I think suddenly what has happened from people, some of us entrepreneurs are quite introvert, quite reserved, right? So I think that had a fundamental shift there. So when Swapna and Sudheer are talking about their employees, and it's always nice to be doing your connects within. What Disha taught us, that connects within the industry is equally important, if I would say more important rather. So that really helped. How do we want to go forward? We've shared numbers. The idea is that, say, in about 3 months from now, we will touch base and share the progress report. Where do we stand? How many things have got implemented and what are the challenges 3 months hence? So that's where we are. We spoke about 2 open areas: funding, something also to do with probably looking at an accelerator model for SMEs in India, because foreign countries have great accelerator ecosystems. We don't still, right? So we are still covering up on that front. So the accelerator ecosystem and also patenting for software products, that's a big question mark area, which not too many people are really aware of. When we posed those questions to the mentors, they very rightly pointed us that, you know what, because we probably don't have that expertise in these areas that you're mentioning, let's open up these questions to the Slack forum. And let's ask others. If you see there are other people who have those responses, great. If not, we can probably request NASSCOM to have those sessions being conducted for the fraternity as a large, So these are some beautiful things that came about. They are not just looking at this boxed forum, 1 hour done, another Saturday, another hour done. It's a start of a journey which has happened. And the idea is for for a mentee company, how much you really invest in it is what you'll get out of it. So I think that's the only message I can give. Do your homework, to other mentee companies, do your homework. Mentorship is great, but ultimately you have to implement everything. And, there are these wonderful people in the NASSCOM industry who are always willing to share, like what Harish ji and Ashank sir also mentioned. So I think, yeah, that's where we are. It's been just a very beautiful experience. But I envy you, Avinash. You got 6 months. We got 3 months. so I think Swapna, Sudheer, and I probably are going to send a mail across asking for a 3-month extension because it's never enough. It's never enough.
Good. Do you find yourself accountable to these people? You talk about sending progress reports.
So that it's the first time that I've felt accountable to somebody, because in a family-run firm, when you're the second generation, your accountability is only to your board, right? So now for the first time, there's somebody who's come on board, who's guiding you, and then next time they're asking you that question: did anything work? And what did you do? What did you implement? So yes, absolutely, the accountability, and that's the hallmark of the program, because it's not a one-way, it's not a one-way Gyan Sangam session, where just one side is talking. There's a lot of work that has to be done by the other side, and you go back to the drawing board, implement, and then come back and see what worked, what didn't work. And they're looking for feedback. They asked us, in every session they asked us, because if you tell us what has worked, what has not worked, next time when we come for mentorship with you or with somebody else, our experience elevates that much more. So I think that's just the humility that they also demonstrated beautifully.
Yeah, and I can vouch for it that if you go back to them 3 months later with the progress report, they will be elated. They 100%. Will be on the 7th heaven, because see, nothing excites me more than or the mentors. I'm sure I can talk for them, that whatever inputs we give, and if it benefits you in some way, shape, or form, that makes our day. That makes our day.
Absolutely.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that feeling. I tell my wife, right after every Saturday, I was busy in those sessions, and I tell her that this is one of the most blissful experiences that I'm going through every 4 or 5 hours on those Saturdays. So it is very addictive for mentors also. Let me tell you my story.
In fact, Avinash, it's surprising you mentioned that, because I had a very similar conversation with my spouse. And I said, I'll do anything, but I will not give up that 1 hour slot, 9 to 10 on a Saturday morning. The world has to sit aside, and this is my focus, and we have to do this. And it's just been beautiful. One more point, in fact, which came out very beautifully, what Swapna and Sudheer were also mentioning. The choice of the mentor companies, the choice of the mentors was so perfectly aligned. They were complementing each other. And sometimes they were learning from each other as well, where, they would have that aha moment. When they are mentoring you, they would have an aha moment amongst them. Yeah. And it's lovely when you see veterans, have so much humility to even talk and learn from each other.
Excellent. So you talked about one important point, and I want to share it with everybody in the audience, that we have a Slack channel, not only for Disha members or Disha participants, it is for everybody. So I think we have 1,000 entrepreneurs and companies already on the platform. And the Slack has different channels. So one of them is Disha. And then, one of them is very unique, Ask Me Anything. So, I think if you are part of NASSCOM, the only way you can benefit is you have to ask fearlessly. I'll even go and talk sales language, ask shamelessly. So unless you ask, you'll not find people willing to help you. But if you ask, you will know there's so many people coming wanting to help you. So that's the power of the community. That's the DNA of NASSCOM that has been created by we have founder chairman there. So that's wonderful. So Harish bhai, over to you. You are coming with a book. Does it have any mentorship element in it?
Yes, so this is again a book about, fundamentally, I would say basically story of NASSCOM, how we started, how we built it up, how mavericks like Ashank and Ramani and Murthy's of the world helped And that ended up creating, as you see, today, when we started, in industry was $52 million. Today is
Yes.
$200 billion. We have had 30% compounded growth over the last 32 years.
Amazing.
Nowhere in the world such a growth has
Yes.
been seen. And in the process, we have changed the fortunes of billion people, Indians.
Definitely.
So that story was untold.
Yes.
So that's what my objective was, to write that entire story of saying when we started, what, how, and of course, some of my views about future, as well as I've said that in a more of my autobiographic format, partly to link it with some of those pieces. So that's the book. It's already gone for printing. Should be out in the market by between, let's say, 15th to 18th of March. So I hope all of you buy that copy and read, and then propagate the message of NASSCOM to all your colleagues and others.
Yes, so congratulations.
Definitely,
And
sir.
if you can share the title of the book, sir.
The inside story of IT revolution, the Maverick effect. I'll just show you.
Sure.
No, I don't have it here. I thought I had it here somewhere. Can you read? Where is
The
Ulta?
Maverick effect.
Is it coming Ulta or?
No, it's coming fine, sir.
Yeah, fine.
You
Okay.
can
So,
read it. The Maverick effect, yes.
yeah. So that's the title of the book. Yeah.
Yes.
But I think I forwarded to some of you the colorful one.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I have it in on my message box. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Ashank,
One suggestion here,
yes.
when you were talking about it, I think when I compare, let's say, when we started NASSCOM, the reason we partly created NASSCOM was to give identity to the invisible, what called software, be it a product, be it a service.
Correct.
So that's why we created NASSCOM. So that otherwise, rules of the hardware industry were applied to intangible intellectual property.
Very true.
Today, the word SME also somehow doesn't give me that sense.
Yeah.
It takes me to the manufacturing company, small company somewhere doing it. It does not reflect the state of the art work that all of you are doing.
Very
So you may want to look at rebranding SME.
That's a valid point, sir. That's a very, very valid point, because you're right. I mean, small to medium enterprises doesn't really give that sense of a services company, particularly on the software side as well. So, very important point. Yeah.
Ashank, what do you say? Ashank, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree. See, SME is a generic word, so it's kind of somebody doing some small manufacturing is an image. So I agree with you. SME as such, we are just using it as a classification for the sake of anything else. Size is the real classification there, as you know.
Just look at your team.
Yeah. I agree. Something else.
Sure. So, Ashank sir, what is your piece of advice to budding entrepreneurs or people who are out there in the audience in terms of how to conquer the world?
I wish I could give such advice. But I have a very simple 3 factors theory which I keep on repeating. I say that success for an entrepreneur is like building. Building has a top floor, building has a foundation, and building has a middle core. So these 3 things have to be there to be successful. What is the top floor? You need a vision. Unless you dream big, unless you want to think through customers, stakeholders, and how you benefit them, you are not in business. However, vision is not enough. Vision is just a top floor, unless it is based on a strong foundation, which is about values. Values is about ethics, integrity, of course, but also customers respect, employee freedom, those are basic values, how you treat your stakeholders. So if you don't have vision, don't have values, I have seen many guys having talking big, but they didn't have a foundation. So those are the two V's which are required for victory. But then there is a third V, which is ultimately decided between winners and losers. I call vitality. Vitality is the core and middle part. Vitality is about the energy, enthusiasm, motivation, looking at future, looking at building processes for organization that goes large, setting the result areas. This is core of running a business. And I have seen people after people who have vision, who have good values, but they can't scale up. Because scaling up is a different art by itself. And unless you scale, you don't build a sustainable organization. If you want to be victorious, 3 V's: vision, values, vitality. That's my advice.
Yeah.
Sure. I changed the banner to your book cover, sir. I don't know if you can see it fully.
I will write a book like Harish someday. I'm very excited, motivated after seeing Harish's book.
Yes. You need to jot down your experiences, sir, for more generations to come and gain from your learnings.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks
Actually,
for all the great work that you guys did.
Just to Ashank, the picture you see is an infinity loop on the cover, and each line represents a maverick. Each one of you is represented by that.
I feel elated.
That's the designer's concept of, and together it makes NASSCOM.
Wonderful.
And it gives an action for future of NASSCOM in that sense. Yeah. I mean, NASSCOM again meaning technology industry, not NASSCOM in that sense. But yeah.
Correct. So Harish bhai, your message to the audience, what would you like to share your nuggets of experience, wisdom for these budding entrepreneurs who are growing their businesses and want to scale the world?
There used to be a saying in our time that come for the cost, stay for quality, scale, and talent. That principle, that guideline still applies. It hasn't changed over the last 20, 25 years. And looking at whatever I hear in the marketplace, that opportunities within India and outside India are so huge that India, or let's say technology industry of India, is now an unstoppable engine. So there are great opportunities for all of us here. So my simple advice would be dream big, think of building a global company, and move on.
Super. So that's a wonderful message for our audiences. Dream big and think of building a global company. And I'm sure each one of you is aware that so many unicorns coming up. We are already conquering the world. India is the place for this next wave of IT that is extremely visible, and every other company in the world wants technology enablement for the business, and where else to look at other than India. So wonderful message and session from Ashank sir, please.
Yeah, so I said this session cannot end without a big thanks to Avinash, to you, Samir, Chetan. I think.
Thank you.
Agreed. Yes.
The kind of time that you have spent, is something that is a good example. And NASSCOM was built in that direction. So we need now these leaders, young leaders like you, to take NASSCOM ahead. And looking at you and the kind of contribution you are doing, I feel very nice that NASSCOM is having new leaders now to take the job.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your kind words. Any departing note from Swapna, Sudheer for you, and then Kunal after that. So Swapna and Sudheer, anything you wanted to share and ask the audience as a call for action?
Yeah, definitely. This session itself is like a mentoring session for us. Like, just listening to what Ashank sir just said, 3 V's. Even though he was not part of our mentoring session, we had the knowledge now. So that snippet itself is enough. And Harish sir's book is coming up. We are very much looking forward to reading it very soon. So it'll be good for all the SMEs to pick up a copy, read it. You don't have to have 7 to 10 mentoring sessions. You just read that book, you'll have 100 mentoring sessions in that.
Good.
Wonderful.
Agree.
Wonderful.
Well said, Sudhir. Yeah, even though you've not read it, yes, good. Thanks.
Looking forward to it, sir. Definitely. And
Kunal, you want to say anything?
I think Sudhir summed it very well. And I love the infectious enthusiasm that Harish Bhai had. When you spoke about the book and he straight away got up to, talk about a copy of his, that just shows, how much passion was there in the entire journey that they set up. I think if we, the next generation of, entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs can reflect even 10% of that, I think our enterprises, NASSCOM as a community will really prosper, flourish a lot more than, what we have been seeing over the years, because NASSCOM today versus NASSCOM in the founding years has undergone a sea change. And I think the founders, the veterans here would really agree on that front. And that's my message to, I think, all my peers is that just connect, please connect. Please sign up for as much networking as you can do amongst the team. I'm not trying to use the term networking, but just connect and share the knowledge, because even as Sudhir, in fact, I think the first thing I'm going to do is to connect with Sudhir and, pick his brains on some things here. So that's just what it is.
I'll connect with Sudhir to ask for more people.
So the next time you see a Disha mail or the next time you get a message from Slack forum, please do come on board and connect with each other. We have a lot of things to share with each other.
Yeah, I think one small data point is that, Indian offshoring industry is still less than 5% of the world offshoring. So there is, enough out there for everybody to capture and grow themselves. There is no competitive spirit among themselves. It is, as Harish Bhai and Kunal said, there is a collaborative spirit. Let's use that as an opportunity. Be open, ask for help, and you will find so many people out there to help you. Kunal, you have one more message.
Thanks, Avinash. So one more thing, we probably are doing business with about 7 other NASSCOM companies, and this has happened only from the time the Slack forum came about. That's the power of it, So just an example, we're talking 3 months and 7 partnerships are there.
Super. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So yes, I think that is the intent of Slack community. That is the intent of SME community. So feel free to come forward and participate. And subscribe. There would be a survey. There would be a form for Disha program. The next cohort will start probably end of March or early April. So just sign up for it, and I'm sure you are in for a great ride. Thank you very much. Thank you all the participants. Thank you mentors, and thank you mentees. Thank you very much.
You.
Bye.